Battle Through the Heavens, episode 195. At the end of the previous episode, Yao Ming and the elders of the Nine Serene Deep-Ground Python tribe are left stunned and dazed by the sudden appearance of numerous incredibly rare, seven-colored heaven-swallowing pythons. The demonic beauty in the sky, exuding the cold authority of a queen, calmly surveys the crowd, her lazy yet piercing gaze unsettling even powerful experts and throwing weaker individuals' do-chi into chaos. After briefly overlooking the scene, her attention shifts to a black-clothed young man behind her. As she meets his joyful gaze, her bewitching face softens into a mesmerizing smile, radiating an irresistible soul-stirring allure. Xiaoyan's was a little absent-minded after seeing Kai Lin's dazzling smile. He immediately swung his head and recovered. He softly laughed. "Have you completed your retreat?" "Aye," Kai Lin smiled. Her narrow, pretty eyes slowly swept over Xiaoyan, her narrow crescent. Like eyebrows were lifted, she asked, "Has your strength grown significantly again?" "I cannot compare with you." Xiaoyan spread his hands. His eyes were a little helpless as he looked at Kai Lin. From the way Kai Lin had appeared, it was obvious that her strength had soared to a relatively powerful level during this retreat. This had left him a little speechless. He had also headed to the bottom of the spring, but he had not found anything unusual about it. After Kai Lin had entered this so-called ordinary spring, she had ended up gaining a lot. This blessing really caused one to feel envious. "Is that so?" Kai Lin shifted her feet. She carried a tempting fragrance as she approached Xiaoyan. Her pretty eyes slightly flickered. Her long, delicate finger suddenly pressed toward Xiaoyan with lightning-like speed. A nine-colored luster was vaguely present on the tip of her finger, while a mysterious energy quietly spread from it. Xiaoyan involuntarily shook his head upon seeing her test his strength. A pink flame rose in front of him, and Kai Lin's finger dangerously paused outside of the flame. She glanced at Xiaoyan and said in a regretful voice, "I thought that I would have surpassed you after exiting my retreat." Even now, Kai Lin deeply remembered the feeling of being far stronger than Xiaoyan back then. However, her somewhat strong self was a little depressed that something like being stronger than Xiaoyan would likely never appear again. Xiaoyan was helpless. Kai Lin seemed to have once again become that Queen Medusa of the past, who was difficult to tame. After exiting this retreat, she was cold and enchanting. Additionally, she also possessed an even greater confidence. "All right, stop messing around. What level is your strength now?" Xiaoyan bitterly laughed in his heart. He quickly became serious and asked after discovering that his spiritual perception was unable to detect Kai Lin's actual strength. Not because she had surpassed him, rather it was due to Kai Lin's aura being overly mysterious. It was impossible for him to gauge it. It should be around that of a 4-star Dao Sheng. Kai Lin also smiled and replied honestly after seeing Xiaoyan become serious. Regardless of how powerful she was and how strong she acted in public, she still displayed a rare warmth and obedience in front of her man. That attack from earlier does not seem like something a 4-star Dao Sheng can use. Xiaoyan slightly lifted an eyebrow. That shrinking snake net Kai Lin had unleashed earlier caused even someone as powerful as Huang Tian to have no choice but to temporarily take shelter. A mere 4-star Dao Sheng was unable to do that. "I borrowed an external strength." Kai Lin naturally did not hide anything from Xiaoyan. She took a step forward and became closer to Xiaoyan, after which she lifted her hand. Her sleeve fell and revealed her jade-like wrist. There were many 7-colored snake symbols extending from her wrist up her arm. Only some snake symbols were present outside. They contained an unusual charm that tempted one into trying to probe deeper. A strange expression flashed across Xiaoyan's eyes as he studied her arm. His large hand grabbed Kai Lin's seemingly boneless wrist in front of many envious and fiery hot eyes. His finger gently rubbed the many 7-colored snake symbols. A grave and shocked expression surged into his eyes a moment later because he discovered that these snake symbols actually possessed their own life force. In other words, these snake symbols were not energy bodies. They were genuine 7-colored heaven-swallowing pythons. The bottom of the Nine Serene Spring hides the lair of a tribe of 7-colored heaven-swallowing python. I have obtained the inheritance of their ancestors. There are some ancestors among them with part of their souls still present despite their damaged physical bodies. I have awakened them, and they have attached to my body. I was only able to fight Huang Tian by borrowing their strength. Otherwise, if I merely relied on myself, it is likely that I would not have been able to defeat Huang Tian. Kai Lin softly explained, "So this is the reason." Xiao Yan only came to a sudden understanding in his heart after hearing Kai Lin's brief explanation. Who would have imagined that the bottom of the Nine Serene Spring actually hide the remains of a lair belonging to the Seven Colored Heaven-swallowing Python tribe? It was truly a lucky encounter for Kai Lin. This world was filled with all sorts of mysterious encounters. The reason he was able to obtain the purifying demonic lotus flame could be considered his own mysterious encounter. Will there be any problems? Xiao Yan's finger gently pressed down on a snake symbol on Kai Lin's arm as he inquired, "Although these ancestors possess some soul fragments, they are not complete souls. From a certain point of view, they can all be controlled by me." Kai Lin's expression was a little dispirited as she replied. Xiao Yan relaxed only after hearing this. He comforted, "It's fine. If we have the opportunity in the future, we can try and see if we can repair their souls. However, the most important thing now is to resolve the trouble in front of us." Xiao Yan's eyes shifted to the mountain ruins as he spoke. A miserable figure had struggled into the air from that spot. That figure was Huang Tian, who had suffered a heavy blow from Kai Lin. Kai Lin by the side also slightly nodded. Her pretty eyes shifted to Huang Tian. The warm smile on her face had been wiped away. Her eyes had gained a cold glint as murderous intent surged within them. Cough. Huang Tian coughed intensely in front of the countless pairs of eyes. He wiped off the trace of blood from the corner of his mouth. His eyes glanced at Xiao Yan and Kai Lin in the distance in a sinister manner. Panic flashed across his heart. He was still unafraid if Xiao Yan was alone, but another had appeared who could seriously injure him. Even Huang Tian would feel a great pressure if these two cooperated. Had I known that Xiao Yan's woman was a nine-colored heaven-swallowing python, I would not have intervened. Damn it! Huang Tian's eyes flickered. His heart felt regretful. Originally, he thought that this matter would not be troublesome. Who would have expected such an expected change to suddenly occur? The entire sky was quiet while Huang Tian was silent. Those experts from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe exchanged glances with each other. None of them dared to speak. Even the almighty Huang Tian in their eyes had been beaten into such a miserable state. Their pride from earlier had already been scattered by Xiao Yan and Kai Lin's ferociousness. Haha. Chief Huang Tian, are you planning to continue on trying to capture your target? Xiao Yan glanced at Huang Tian, who had become quiet. Finally, he opened his mouth and broke the silence. Huang Tian's face twitched upon hearing this question. His expression was volatile as it continued to rapidly change. Finally, he said in a hoarse voice, "Xiao Yan, this king has lost this time around." An uproar was immediately stirred after Huang Tian's words escaped his mouth. No one had expected the tribal chief of the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe, who was renowned within the Beast region, to actually admit defeat. You don't really think that this matter can be put to rest just by admitting defeat, do you? Xiao Yan's voice contained some ridicule. However, both of his eyes contained a chill. If he had come a little later today, something might have gone wrong with Kai Lin's training. How would he face Xiao Xiao if anything happened? Shall we kill him? Kai Lin by the side inquired in a faint voice. A murderous intent was revealed in her tone. Huang Tian's expression was a little ugly after seeing that Xiao Yan did not stop coming after him. He coldly said, "Saying that I admit defeat does not mean that I am afraid of you. If we were to really engage in an all-out fight, I would still be able to pull one of you into death's embrace, even if I cannot win." Xiao Yan shifted his eyes. The chill in his eyes did not diminish while a nine-colored luster surged onto the surface of Kai Lin's body by the side. Yao Ming in the distance widened his mouth upon seeing them prepare. However, he eventually stopped himself from speaking. From his point of view, it would not be beneficial if Xiao Yan really killed Huang Tian. At that time, the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe would definitely seek a crazy vengeance. Faced with one of the three great tribes, the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe, even the Sky Mansion Alliance would end up with a great headache. If the Hall of Souls were to quietly intervene, it might end up causing a great disaster for the Sky Mansion Alliance, which could destroy it for good. Huang Tian's expression was a little gloomy, but his heart felt bitter. Given his current condition, he would most likely end up dead if he were to deal with Xiao Yan and Kai Lin together. Xiao Yan, This king will inform you of some news. Perhaps you will no longer be interested in remaining here after hearing it." Huang Tian's eyes flashed. He violently clenched his teeth as he spoke in a deep voice. "Oh? Why don't you tell me and we'll see?" Xiaoyan lifted his brows and replied with a calm expression, "Aren't you wondering why this king has chosen to launch a campaign and attract you over from the central plains now, instead of earlier or later?" Xiaoyan's expression slightly sank. His eyes locked onto Huang Tian as he demanded, "Why?" Huang Tian smiled upon seeing Xiaoyan's reaction. He suddenly asked, "It seems that your relationship with the new Dragon Emperor of the ancient Void Dragon tribe is quite good, right?" Xiaoyan's expression gradually became ugly. His heart began to feel an unease. His tone was dense as he said, "Do not try my limited patience." If I was you, I would immediately hurry to the empty realm now. Otherwise, I'm afraid that you will only be able to go and collect the corpse of the new Dragon Emperor." Huang Tian laughed. That young thing really doesn't know her limits. Does she really think that it is so easy to unite the ancient Void Dragon tribe? Xiaoyan's expression became completely gloomy. He suddenly lifted his palm. The dragon seal present on his palm had actually gradually dimmed at this moment. His limbs immediately became ice. Cold. "Let's go." Xiaoyan struck his palm forward without explaining anything. He tore through empty space. Without saying anything more, he moved his body and swiftly entered. Kai Lin behind him frowned slightly before she hurriedly followed. "Huang Tian, I will remember this matter today. If anything happens to Ziyan, I will get your entire Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe to repay with your lives." A cold smile had just appeared on Huang Tian's face as he watched Xiaoyan and Kai Lin hurriedly leaving when the dense voice that was emitted from the spatial crack froze his smile. Yao Ming's group watched Xiaoyan and Kai Lin suddenly disappear through torn space from the underground network. Their faces were all stunned. They did not understand why the two of them would leave in such a hurry. The empty realm is the territory of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. From Brother Xiao Yan's anxiousness, can it be that some trouble has once again appeared with the ancient dragon tribe? Yao Ming was not a fool. He made a guess after thinking about it. However, he currently had a mess to deal with and was unable to leave. All he could do was pray that Xiaoyan and Kai Lin would be able to resolve the trouble this time around with their strength. The both of you will fight until you end up seriously injured, which will end up benefiting my Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe in the future. Huang Tian in the sky looked at the spot where Xiaoyan and Kai Lin had disappeared. He coldly laughed in his heart. He quickly ceased remaining any longer. With a cold cry, he turned around and rushed into the distance. The other experts from the Heaven Demon Phoenix tribe hurriedly followed upon seeing him leave. They appeared a little dispirited. All of them were clearly aware that if Xiaoyan and Kai Lin had not suddenly left, it would likely not have been easy for them to withdraw without suffering any losses. The 9 serene deep-ground Python tribe did not stop the Heaven Demon Phoenix from withdrawing. They began to tidy up the mess of the battle while sighing in relief. The chaotic spatial flow within the empty realm was just like the large mouths of demons hidden in the darkness. They quietly appeared and forcefully shattered all the things they touched. Swoosh! 2 bright lights flashed by with great speed within the extremely quiet emptiness. The wild and violent airflow that the light stirred caused the interior of the empty realm to continuously rumble. Xiaoyan's expression was gloomy as he unleashed his speed to the limit. Ever since they had defeated the 3 great dragon kings the last time around, the situation of the ancient Void Dragon clan favored the Eastern Dragon Island. It had not been impossible for them to complete the unification. Of course, the 3 great dragon kings who had fled might pose an obstruction to the tribe, but they were clearly unable to cause much trouble with their strengths. This line of reasoning had always been present within Xiao Yan's heart. However, the situation that had occurred today made him realize that he had underestimated the complexity of the matter. The dragon seal is becoming weaker. Ziyan seems to be in an extremely dire situation. Damn it, just what has happened to the ancient Void Dragon tribe. The direction the dragon seal is indicating is not the Eastern Dragon Island. It seems that Ziyan is not on the Eastern Dragon Island. Xiaoyan tightly clenched his fist. He quickly suppressed the fury in his heart. The green, red bone wings on his back were flapped. His speed was increased once again as he wildly rushed in the direction indicated by the dragon seal. Kai Lin could only helplessly shake her head after seeing Xiaoyan speed off from behind. She did not say anything as she hurriedly followed. A bloodlight surged from a certain spot in the empty realm. The scent of blood could be clearly sniffed even 10,000 feet away. The source of the bloodlight was a large island floating in the empty realm. The island was filled with a scarlet color, as though the island had been dyed in blood, giving it a sinister appearance. Many figures were clustered together in the distant sky of the huge island, encircling this island and allowing nothing to pass. These people revealed frightened and gloomy expressions. A fury surged within their eyes as they looked at the Dragon Island. Dragon transforming demon formation, this bastard Northern Dragon King. The dragon transforming demon formation is a forbidden technique of our ancient dragon which had been destroyed thousands of years ago. How is it possible for him to use it? A white-haired elder in the sky above the island angrily roared. Those elders from the eastern Dragon Island by the side became quiet after hearing this. They had only heard rumors about this forbidden technique. The person who had managed this secret technique of the ancient dragon tribe was the Northern Dragon King's great-grandfather. The dragon transforming demon formation was also destroyed by him. However, no one can be certain if he had privately kept it. Elder Zhu Li hesitated and replied, "The dragon transforming demon formation was a forbidden technique of the ancient void dragon tribe. This formation was created by an extraordinarily powerful expert from the tribe back then. Once this formation was formed, everyone inside, other than the person at the center of the formation, would be shattered into pools of blood. Finally, they would be devoured and absorbed by the center of the formation. Thus, the strength of that person would soar greatly. But this formation was far too bloody and cruel. Hence, it was classified as a forbidden technique and subsequently destroyed. No one had expected that this Northern Dragon King knew how to use it. Moreover, the thing that caused one's scalp to turn numb was that this lunatic had actually activated the formation across the entire Northern Dragon Island. It should be known that many experts from the 3 Dragon Islands had gathered here because of their alliance. Other than a small number of experts on the island, the majority had been turned into pools of blood and devoured by the Northern Dragon King at the center of the formation. After devouring so many tribe members, the strength of the Northern Dragon King had already reached a relatively frightening level. Haha, you naive and inexperienced girl, this king was originally planning on allowing you to live longer. Unexpectedly, you actually dared to lead an army and attack. It's just as well. This king has an insufficient number of sacrifices. If I devour you, my bloodline will definitely surpass all the ancestors of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. Haha, at that time, this king will be the strongest person in the history of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. The dense bloodlight contained a bloody scent as it surrounded the huge island. While Zhu Li and the rest did not dare step forward, that bloody light suddenly emitted a crazy laughter. A frightening energy ripple swept apart. The 2 human figures in an intense battle scattered the blood fog and appeared in front of many pairs of eyes. One of the 2 figures was Ziyan. But Thee was not in a good state. Her face was pale and her aura was a little weary. The liquid, like dragon-slaying sword in her hand had once again been summoned. But the dragon-slaying sword did not appear to be as powerful as last time. A half-human-like figure was present in front of Ziyan. His body was extremely strong. The muscles all over his body appeared as though they were alive as they continued to wiggle across his skin. Waves of blood flowed out of his pores while the flesh on his body wiggled. This caused him to appear like a blood person that looked ferocious and terrifying. There was a strangely large head on the blood person's shoulders. 3 faces were present on this head. Those 3 faces were the Western Dragon King, the Southern Dragon King, and the Northern Dragon King. 3 faces on a single head made one's stomach to churn. Clang, clang. Those monster-like 3 faces parted their mouths. Blood continuously flowed out of the corner of their mouths. Those 6 scarlet eyes were filled with a wild beast-like violence. Additionally, the hand of the monster held a huge sword formed by golden liquid. However, the golden color was mixed with a dense blood color. Waves of metallic sounds erupted when it collided with the dragon-slaying sword in Ziyan's hand, but the monster did not fall into a disadvantage. Instead, the occasional stench forced Ziyan into a dangerous situation. A Northern Dragon King, you bastard, the Western and Southern Dragon Kings are your allies, yet you did not even let them off. You actually devoured their physical bodies and souls and have become such a monster. Ziyan's eyes contained a flame as they stared at the monster. Blood shoot from its body as she furiously cursed the Northern Dragon King. Tisk, tisk. Those two pieces of trash had been seriously injured by you. They would have difficulty becoming great even if they fully recovered. It is better if they help me. Although I have eaten their flesh, this king has promised to help take revenge. The face of the Northern Dragon King on the monster's head strangely laughed. The huge sword in his hand furiously hacked at Ziyan with lightning-like speed. The frightening wind forced Ziyan to pull back in defeat. After swallowing the Western and Southern Dragon King, he had relied on the transforming Dragon Demon formation to absorb many experts on the island. The strength of the Northern Dragon King had already far surpassed Ziyan. If he was not a little afraid of the genuine dragon-slaying sword, Ziyan would have already died by the Northern Dragon King's hands. Ziyan clenched her silver teeth as she faced the crazy attack of the Northern Dragon King. She firmly endured. Due to the transforming Dragon Demon formation, the experts from the Eastern Dragon Island did not dare to step inside. Otherwise, they would turn into a pool of blood if they entered and end up continuously strengthening the Northern Dragon King. Northern Dragon King, sooner or later your reasoning will be eroded by the bloodlust and you will become a wild beast which only knows how to kill. Tisk, tisk. It's fine if I become a wild beast. The ancient Void Dragon tribe can only be reunified by this king. The Dragon Emperor can only be me. The strange laughter of the Northern Dragon King suddenly halted. His palm suddenly grabbed at the ground below him. The three ancient Dragon tribe members on the ground, with miserable expression, were grabbed and lifted across space. After which, they were treated as weapons as they were ruthlessly thrown at Ziyan. Dragon Emperor, aren't you planning on rescuing people? Tsk, tsk. This king shall let you rescue your fill. Ziyan clenched her silver teeth. She glanced at the people wrapped in the bloodlight as they were thrown over. She quickly flew up and her hand slammed into the trio with lightning-like speed. A golden light surged and the strange bloodlight scattered. Subsequently, a wave of hidden force delivered the three of them out of the transforming Dragon Demon formation. Tsk, tisk. What a good Dragon Emperor. Even this king is a little unwilling. Ziyan had just delivered the three of them away when the blood glow flashed. The Northern Dragon King appeared in front of her in a ghost-like fashion. A savage expression surged onto his dense face. His large hands, which were covered in blood, were smashed toward Ziyan's shoulder with lightning-like speed. Grug! A terrifying force surged into her body from her shoulder. The bloody vapor, which was filled with a rotting stench, immediately caused an intense pain throb from Ziyan's body. A mouthful of fresh blood was spat out as her delicate figure flew backwards in front of many anxious eyes. Everything is over. The ancient Void Dragon tribe belongs to me. The Northern Dragon King revealed a mad expression when he saw Ziyan's aura become completely sluggish. He let out a ferocious laugh as he strode forward, after which he appeared in front of Ziyan. His large hand subsequently grabbed her head. The experts from the Eastern Dragon Island outside the blood formation were extremely shocked after seeing Ziyan be picked up by her head. Their eyes reddened. Ha. The Northern Dragon King let out a strange laugh. However, the speed of his hand was not reduced. A pink flame suddenly rose from Ziyan's head just as his hand was about to land on her head. The terrifyingly high temperature caused the hand of the Northern Dragon King to halt. It froze in the air as his expression slowly turned gloomy. He slowly lifted his head and stared at the empty realm in front of him. His dense voice reverberated into the empty realm. Xiaoyan, show yourself. The furious cry of the Northern Dragon King resounded within this blood formation in a rumbling fashion. Finally, it spread into the distance. Puff, the pink flame, which appeared above Ziyan's head, swiftly spread after the Northern Dragon King's cry sounded. It transformed into a fire barrier that firmly wrapped around Ziyan. The blood fog spreading around her would emit a hissing sound and disappear upon contact with the fire barrier. Northern Dragon King, you are indeed the person causing trouble. The space beside Ziyan fluctuated after the fire barrier materialized. Immediately, two figures slowly appeared. These figures were Xiaoyan and Kai Lin, who had hurried over at full speed. It's Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan's and Kai Lin's sudden appearance caught the attention of those members from the Eastern Dragon Island outside of the formation. Many joyous cries quickly sounded. Soon after, some elders once again became grave. although they were aware that Xiaoyan was also an elite Dusheng after their last meeting. The current situation was such that even an ordinary Dusheng would end up dying. The hearts of many sank slightly upon thinking of death. Tsk, that fellow Huang Tian is really useless. He has only managed to delay you for such a short amount of time. The scarlet eyes of the Northern Dragon King glared at Xiaoyan while everyone was quiet. He licked the blood off the corner of his mouth as he continued with a dense smile. However, it is fine. The situation has already been decided. You coming here is merely offering me a sacrifice. Xiaoyan's expression was calm. He glanced at the Northern Dragon King and paused on the three strange faces. Given his spiritual perception, he could guess why this person's strength had increased with just a glance. He slightly frowned. This person was actually this vicious. Cough. Ziyan by the side suddenly coughed out a mouthful of fresh blood while Xiaoyan knit his brows. Her face was as pale as sheet. Blood swiftly spread from his shoulder and eroded her body. Although the Dragon Phoenix constitution was doing its best to endure, the waves of intense pain still caused Ziyan's expression grow paler. Tisk. Even though you possess the Dragon Phoenix constitution, even you will feel terrible after being struck by the transforming dragon demon formation. The Northern Dragon King let out a wild laugh at the sky after seeing the Ziyan's weakened state. He had almost transformed the entire population of the Northern Dragon Island into blood. It was only possible to turn the tables by paying such a frightening price. His heart was naturally incomparably happy after forcing Ziyan into such a miserable state. Why are the both of you here? Ziyan wiped the trace of blood off the corner of her mouth. Her pale face gave one a heartache. Her somewhat dim eyes glanced at Xiaoyan and Kai Lim as she bitterly said, "The matter this time around will not be as easily resolved as last time. This fellow has devoured the Western and Southern King, as well as the flesh of many tribe members. He has vaguely reached the 6th star of the Dosheng class, a 6-star Dosheng. Although Ziyan's strength had risen quickly during these 2 years, she had yet to break through to the 5th star of the Dosheng class. With her strength, she was unable to defeat the Northern Dragon King even with her Dragon Phoenix constitution. The gap between the 2 stars was really far too great. Xiaoyan smiled at her but did not reply. His hand was gently placed on Ziyan's shoulder, the one that radiated a bloody air from it. A faint pink flame was partially visible. He, attempting to expel the transforming dragon blood qi, "Do you think?" The Northern Dragon King coldly laughed upon seeing Xiaoyan's actions. However, his laughter had barely sounded when he was stunned to find tendrils of the blood qi swiftly rising from Ziyan's shoulder. Finally, they vanished into nothing. Heavenly flame? A shocked expression immediately flashed across the Northern Dragon King's eyes upon seeing these tendrils disappear. Only at this moment did he discover that the heavenly flame in Xiaoyan's hand appeared a little different from what he had seen back then. Xiaoyan ignored the Northern Dragon King. He controlled the purifying demonic lotus flame and circulated it once around Ziyan's body. All of the transforming dragon blood qi within her body was swallowed and vaporized. Only then did he slowly withdraw his palm. Ziyan's face recovered a little color after the transforming dragon blood qi within her body was scattered. But she still appeared extremely weak. Moreover, her body had slowly shrank in front of Xiaoyan's and Kai Lin's stunned eyes. Within a short moment, she had returned to that little girl appearance from back then. "I'm too weak. I can only recover in a form that saves the most amount of energy." Ziyan bitterly laughed and softly explained, "Haha. This appearance is much cuter." Xiaoyan rubbed Ziyan's small head and laughed. "Both Kai Lin and you should return. Leave this to me." Ziyan was slightly startled after hearing his words. She gently clenched her teeth and said, "He is very powerful. I have never tried biting off more than I can chew." Xiaoyan laughed and replied. Ziyan suddenly sensed that Xiaoyan's strength had once again surpassed her after taking in his smiling face. A joy quickly rose on her small face. "Do you need any help?" Kai Lin softly asked by the side. If that transformed Northern Dragon King really possessed a strength similar to a 6-star Dao Sheng, just Xiaoyan alone, worry flashed through her eyes while she thought to herself, he has yet to truly reach the 6th star of the Dao Sheng class. It is not impossible to beat him. Currently, there are still many members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe within this formation. You should intervene and rescue them while I hold him back. Otherwise, he will be able to devour the blood and qi of these people as he wishes. Then, his fighting strength will maintain its peak. Xiaoyan shook his head slightly while appearing quite calm. Kai Lin was unable to say anything after hearing Xiaoyan's words. She immediately nodded, grabbed Ziyan and moved her body, flying out of the range of the blood formation in the process. They appeared in front of those elders from the Eastern Dragon Island. The elders hurriedly swarmed over upon seeing them leave the formation. Their faces were extremely anxious. If anything happened to Ziyan, the ancient Void Dragon tribe would never unite again. The Northern Dragon King did not intervene to stop Kai Lin and Ziyan from departing. From the way he saw it, the lives of those two had merely been extended. Once he finished Xiaoyan off, he would devour everyone present. A savage smile rose on the face of the Northern Dragon King after he thought about the joy from the soaring of his strength. Your blood and flesh has a strange scent to it. It is similar to that of the Dragon Phoenix, but it appears even more delicious. The Northern Dragon King's scarlet tongue was extended. He licked the blood on his face. A special excitement quickly rose within his eyes. He made a strange statement as he stared at Xiaoyan. Xiaoyan shifted his eyes. He was naturally aware of what the Northern Dragon King was saying. There were a total of 3 types of bloodline strengths within his body. This delicious taste should originate from them. However, Xiaoyan did not reply to the perverted desire of the Northern Dragon King. He lifted his hand, and a pink flame slowly spread from his body. The frighteningly high temperature vaporized the surrounding bloody qi that was eroding him. The scarlet eyes of the Northern Dragon King focused when the extremely troublesome, transforming dragon blood qi was unable to even approach Xiaoyan's body. Although his murderous desire had surged after devouring many people, he possessed a ruthless and cautious nature to begin with. Hence, he remained alert even at this moment. Your body possesses the Dragon Phoenix bloodline. Coincidentally, you can have a taste of the dragon-slaying sword. The eyes of the Northern Dragon King flickered as he took a step forward. His body appeared a short distance in front of Xiaoyan with lightning-like speed. The huge blood-red sword in the Northern Dragon King's hand released a bloody stench that pounced into Xiaoyan's nose as it ruthlessly hacked toward his head. Yellow spring palm. Xiaoyan's body withdrew. He randomly threw out a yellow spring palm in the process, and the huge energy palm whistled forward. "Chi, this is nothing." The Northern Dragon King laughed upon seeing this attack. The huge sword containing a bloody qi in his hand slashed down and hacked the energy palm into 2. After which, the body of the sword was swung. It unleashed 3 huge sword glows with lightning-like speed. They struck Xiaoyan like thunderbolts. The green-red bone wings on Xiaoyan's back were flapped to deal with the Northern Dragon King's sharp attack, narrowly dodging them. Before he could stabilize his body, the Northern Dragon King had once again ferociously pounced over. The attacks arrived one after another without giving him any time to catch his breath. The elders from the Eastern Dragon Island outside of the formation felt a little anxious in their hearts after seeing Xiaoyan fall into a disadvantage. If Xiaoyan were to be defeated, the Eastern Dragon Island would really suffer a great defeat. At that time, the crazy Northern Dragon King would attack again. The entire ancient Void Dragon tribe would likely be finished. Bang! Xiaoyan violently collided head-on with the Northern Dragon King amid these many anxious pairs of eyes. The blood within his body churned as he staggered dozens of steps back. He is indeed barely able to reach the 6th star of the Du Sheng class. A grave expression flashed across Xiaoyan's eyes as he suppressed the somewhat churning blood within his body. He was unable to obtain a great result with ordinary qi while fighting opponent with such strength. I can try that technique. Xiaoyan's eyes slightly flickered. He quickly withdrew the aura all around his body. Both of his hands rapidly formed many extremely foreign seals. Little Yi within his body suddenly opened his eyes after Xiaoyan's hands began to move. His body quickly rose and paused between Xiaoyan's brows. The small hands of Little Yi formed the same seals as Xiaoyan at this moment. "Xiaoyan, it is really wishful thinking by attempting to defeat this king with your strength." The Northern Dragon King coldly laughed as he watched Xiaoyan form the hand seals. He did not give Xiaoyan any time as the huge sword in his hand mercilessly slashed toward Xiaoyan's head while being accompanied by a sharp wind. Man and flame merger, extermination fire body. The tiny fire lotus in Xiaoyan's eyes had begun to wildly rotate after Xiaoyan, and little Yi's hand seal stilled at the same time. Extermination, like monstrous aura, which caused everyone's expression to pale, suddenly swept from Xiaoyan's body like a storm. Boom! After that extermination, like aura swept out of Xiaoyan's body. His body lit on fire at this moment. Pink flames covered every part of his body, his skin, muscles, bones, cells. Every part of Xiaoyan's body was filled by a pink flame at this moment. Chi-Chi. The pink flames fiercely burned. While the flames wildly spread, his body became crystal clear. It was even possible to see his internal organs through the flames. These internal organs were covered by a pink crystal layer at this moment. The green-red wings on Xiaoyan's back slowly morphed. Finally, they turned into a pair of huge pink wings. Looking from a distance, it was as though they had been made by transparent glass. Appearing exceptionally mysterious, the extermination fire body was a method of unleashing the energy of the heavenly flame to its limit by merging it with one's physical body. This required almost perfect control of the heavenly flame because the heavenly flames were far too ferocious, even though it had already been refined. The inside of a human's body was still too weak. No one dared to easily use the heavenly flame to alter one's constitution. Even Xiaoyan did not dare to do so. But after Little Yi appeared, this kind of hidden danger completely vanished. Little Yi and Xiaoyan were mentally connected. They were just like one. Little Yi was the spirit of a heavenly flame. No one in the world could compare with him in terms of controlling a heavenly flame. The harsh conditions required to form the exterminating fire body could also be met by him. This was the first time Xiaoyan had used this skill after leaving the demonic flame realm, but he was confident in the might of the extermination fire body. From a certain point of view, this kind of extermination fire body was just transforming oneself into a movable extermination fire lotus, allowing his attacks to be as terrifying as the fire lotus. However, the only disadvantage was that the Do Chi one required to use the extermination fire body was far too frightening. Even with Xiaoyan's current strength, it was likely that he would not be able to use it for more than a minute. 1 minute would pass in the blink of an eye. However, this 1 minute could decide the victor in a fight. When it came to genuine experts, the extermination aura that suddenly rippled out of the formation was detected by many members of the ancient dragon tribe outside. Immediately, many surprised gazes were thrown at Xiaoyan. What a frightening aura! In less than 3 years, his strength has actually progressed to such a level. Elder Zhu Li looked at Xiaoyan with an envious face. When he had first met Xiaoyan, he had still surpassed Xiaoyan slightly. Now, however, he had been tossed into some unknown corner. It looks like our ancient void dragon tribe will be saved. The other elders also revealed joyous faces. Originally, they thought that it was impossible to stop the crazy northern dragon king, even with Xiaoyan's appearance. However, Xiaoyan caused them to rejoice. Ziyan, who had been observing the situation in front of everyone, revealed joy in her eyes. The aura that had suddenly erupted from Xiaoyan caused her to feel reassured. Qi, someone who only knows how to put up a mystifying act. No one can change your fate today. The Northern Dragon King narrowed his scarlet eyes as Xiaoyan transformed. He let out a laugh, although he spoke in a condescending manner. The caution in his heart greatly soared. The current Xiaoyan already made him feel some danger. He would have to pay an extremely miserable price if he was careless. His blood-colored hand quickly formed a seal as he cried out, "Blood dragon, devour the sky!" Roar! The huge blood formation suddenly churned after the Northern Dragon King's cry sounded. An immeasurable amount of bloody Do Chi gathered in the air above the Northern Dragon King. It vaguely formed a savage blood dragon that was larger than the entire Dragon Island. A voice filled with a violent and murderous desire slowly rang out. Bang, bang! Many ancient dragon figures exploded within the Dragon Island after the bloody Do Chi gathered. They turned into blood fog that was absorbed into the blood dragon, causing its body to grow a brighter red. On the other side of the blood formation, Kai Lin continued to rapidly throw members of the ancient dragon tribe out of the blood formation. Even though she was quick, many still exploded into a bloody mist. She knit her delicate brows and waved her hand. 10-7, colored lights erupted from her. The rate she was rescuing those individuals soared. Tisk, Tisk, the transforming dragon demon formation can be considered the ultimate skill of my ancient dragon tribe. Those pieces of trash actually thought of destroying it. They were really extremely foolish. The madness on the face of the Northern Dragon King became even denser as he stared at the incomparably large blood dragon in the sky. He glanced at Xiao Yan a short distance in front of him. His body rose and finally turned into a blood glow that charged into the huge mouth of the blood dragon, after the Northern Dragon King charged into the blood dragon's body. The luster radiating from all parts of the blood dragon gathered on him. A dim bloodlight lingered around the surface of his body. Those huge dragon scales flicked with a chilling luster, giving them a life-like appearance. Roar! The blood dragon's huge eyes contained an endless bloody aura as they focused on Xiao Yan in an icy and merciless fashion. The incomparably large body trembled as it opened its ferocious large mouth. A 10,000-foot large blood glow that contained a bloody aura, which caused one's expression to change, rushed toward Xiao Yan like a furious dragon. "Be careful!" The bloodlight shot out as Ziyan warned Xiao Yan. She could sense a frightening force in the bloodlight. If someone were struck by it, even an elite 5-star Do Sheng would likely suffer a serious injury. "Ha ha! Xiao Yan, since you have delivered yourself to me, I shall help take your life." The Northern Dragon King's proud roar reverberated across the empty realm as he watched the bloodlight penetrate the void. Xiao Yan's eyes were slowly opened as he faced the Northern Dragon King's roar. Both of his black eyes became crystal clear, but the fire lotus within his body rotated in a terrifying way. Such strength! Xiao Yan lowered his head and swiftly observed his current situation. His pink glass-like face revealed his intoxication. He was currently the purifying demonic lotus flame. If he possessed sufficient Du Qi, Xiao Yan could even unleash the destructive might of the purifying demonic lotus flame. He could burn mountains and boil the sea by just raising his hand. There was no limit to this heavenly flame. Both man and flame had completely merged together. The only person across the entire Doqi continent who could reach this level was just Xiao Yan. An incomparably searing hot aura was slowly spat from Xiao Yan's mouth. He lifted his head and glanced at the bloodlight rapidly magnifying in his eyes. The corners of his mouth were curled. However, he did not prepare any defenses. The fire wings on his back were gently flapped. After which, he turned into a fire meteorite in front of many shocked eyes. He collided head-on with the bloodlight. Chi! They collided at that moment, but everyone's eyes shrunk as the bloody light, which was filled with a frightening bloody energy that could easily defeat a 5-star Do Sheng. Quickly dimmed upon contact, everyone's eyes watched as the light that had penetrated through the void swiftly weakened the moment of the collision. Moreover, it started to slowly deform as it weakened at a shocking speed. A falling star-like figure flashed with lightning-like speed at the same time. The bloodlight collapsed with just a touch when the two made contact. Moreover, it had collapsed without any resistance. Bang! The bloodlight finally became illusory in front of the eyes of the blood dragon, which was filled with disbelief. The firelight figure continued to fly over like a falling star. It was swiftly magnified in his eyes. This king will not fail. Up against Xiao Yan's wild and violent attack, a crazy expression began to surge within the eyes of the blood dragon that the Northern Dragon King had merged with. He was all alone already. If he were to lose, he would no longer find an opportunity to turn things around. Roar! A glaring bloodlight crazily erupted from the blood dragon's enormous body. It gathered within its large, ferocious mouth at a shocking speed. Finally, it turned into a dark 5-foot, large bead condensed from blood. The surface of the bloody bead was covered in lines that appeared like blood vessels. An incomparably bloody scent spread through the empty realm. Swoosh! The blood bead had just appeared when the craziness within the Northern Dragon King's eyes surged. He ruthlessly shot the bead at Xiao Yan in front of him. The blood dragon immediately began to crumble after the blood bead shot away, as though all of its energy had left with the blood bead. Dragon's soul bead, this bastard didn't even let off the souls of the tribe members. The eyes of those ancient void dragons outside of the blood formation quickly turned a bloody red after catching sight of the blood-colored bead. The Northern Dragon King had not only devoured the flesh of many from the tribe, he had also not let off their souls. Ziyan's delicate figure trembled. The murderous desire within her eyes was extremely dense. The Northern Dragon King did not care about the fury of the others. His scarlet eyes continued to stare at Xiao Yan, who flying over. Xiao Yan then collided with the blood bead. A cruel and savage smile was immediately lifted on his face. Xiao Yan, go and die. The blood bead whistled through the empty space. Finally, it smashed into Xiao Yan in front of many pairs of eyes. At that moment, everyone's hearts suddenly tightened. No one can hinder this king. The scarlet eyes of the Northern Dragon King stared intently at the point of collision. A wild laugh escaped his mouth, but this laughter had barely started when it was suddenly halted. He was just like a duck whose throat had been broken. Ch-chi, Xiao Yan displayed a calm expression that the shocked Northern Dragon King took in with his eyes. A circular life, like pink fire wave, spread from his palm. At the middle of the fire wave was the blood bead, which contained an endless bloody scent. But at this moment, the bloody aura contained in the blood bead swiftly paled as purifying demonic lotus flame purified it. How is this possible? Just which heavenly flame is this? The Northern Dragon King immediately roared out when he saw the blood bead slowly rotating over Xiao Yan's palm. It had not exploded. After the blood bead had landed in Xiao Yan's hands, the Northern Dragon King had sensed that his connection with it had been cut. The purifying demonic lotus flame can purify all things. Even souls can be purified by it. Xiao Yan's pink crystal-like hand slowly rose. A pink flame whistled from it and surrounded the blood bead. The bloody aura in the bead was swiftly being purified. Purifying demonic lotus flame? How can this brat actually possess the purifying demonic lotus flame? The Northern Dragon King suddenly narrowed his eyes. Even though he felt extremely furious in his heart, a chill still surged from it. The reputation of the purifying demonic lotus flame was something that the ancient Void Dragon tribe was familiar with, even though they had not traveled to the Central Plains in many years. Xiao Yan ignored the shock of the Northern Dragon King. A flame danced in his hand as he slowly lifted up. A pale pink light ball the size of a human head appeared in his hand. It was the blood ball from earlier. However, the blood aura within it had been completely purified, and Xiao Yan could sense the lingering souls within it. They were the souls of the members of the ancient dragon tribe the Northern Dragon King had devoured. The people inside are begging me to return this to you. Xiao Yan glanced at the Northern Dragon King and smiled. He flicked his finger. The human head-sized pink bead suddenly shot out. This time around, its target was the Northern Dragon King. Bastard! Shock immediately surged onto the Northern Dragon King's face after seeing this bead target him. He turned around and withdrew without uttering anything else. He was too aware of just how terrifying the energy within the dragon bead was. If he was struck by it, he would really be finished this time around. Swoosh! Although the Northern Dragon King pulled back quickly. The pink bead was even faster. Many human faces surfaced on the pink bead as it rapidly flew. They looked at the Northern Dragon King with all the fury they felt. A light flashed and swiftly flew toward the Northern Dragon King, after which it caught up with the Northern Dragon King in front of many pairs of eyes before exploding in front of his stunned, shrunken eyes. Bang! A frightening energy storm wildly swept apart from the point of explosion. Wave after wave of the energy storm scattered over half of the bloody Do Chi that had filled the Dragon Island below. Has he won? The members of the ancient Void Dragon tribe widened their mouths as they stared at the terrifying energy storm. They faced each other. A moment later, a wild joy quickly surged in their eyes. Cheers rebounded across the sky like thunder. Mr. Xiao Yan is extraordinarily strong. He is even able to purify the bloody Do Chi in the Dragon Soul bead. Those elders from the Eastern Dragon Island revealed joyous faces from having escaped a calamity. It seemed that the heavens did not intend to eliminate their tribe. The Dragon Emperor's good friend is really a blessing to our ancient dragon tribe. Mr. Xiao Yan has repeatedly rescued our tribe. We will never be able to repay this grand favor. Elder Zhu Li fondled his beard. He immediately glanced at the first elder of the Eastern Dragon Island and the others. Mr. Xiao Yan has indeed blessed our ancient dragon tribe us with a grand favor. The first elder hesitated and nodded after noticing Elder Zhu Li's eyes. He continued in a low voice, I understand your meaning. Once our ancient dragon tribe reunites, our tribe will ally with the Sky Mansion Alliance. Elder Zhu Li only smiled and nodded after hearing this reply. Ziyan had mentioned forming an alliance with the Sky Mansion Alliance 2 years ago, but there had been many different opinions expressed back then. Hence, a decision had not been reached, but Xiao Yan had once again intervened and rescued them. Given this favor, no one could afford to object again. Ziyan sighed in relief within her heart after hearing the conversation between Elder Zhu Li and the first elder. These stubborn old fellows were finally willing to abandon their old pride and agree to the alliance, which would significantly benefit both parties. The energy storm, which had originated from the explosion, raged for a moment while everyone's faces were filled with joy. Only then did it slowly disappear. An unusually miserable figure appeared in front of everyone after the storm scattered. The Northern Dragon King is still alive. Many people felt somewhat startled in their hearts when they noticed that the Northern Dragon King was still hanging onto his life by a breath, despite appearing extremely miserable with a relatively sluggish aura. Even such a frightening attack could not kill this fellow. This person's life was indeed incomparably strong. The body of an ancient void dragon is indeed strong. Xiao Yan studied this scene. His brow was slightly lifted. He naturally understood that the Northern Dragon King would have already been turned into dust if he had not relied on the strength of his physical body. Hoo-hoo. The Northern Dragon King heavily panted as his dim and scarlet eyes cut at Xiao Yan in an extremely vicious manner. He had never expected to end up being seriously injured by Xiao Yan's hands. Xiao Yan, you better remember this. This king will definitely return and have his revenge, although he had managed to retain his life. The Northern Dragon King was also extremely weak. He ferociously glared at Xiao Yan as he let out a furious roar, after which his body suddenly shot backwards. It seemed like he was planning to escape. Do not allow him to escape. Ziyan immediately became anxious upon realizing he was attempting to flee. She hurriedly cried out. Last time around, this fellow had managed to escape and had caused the trouble they were dealing with now. If he were allowed to flee again, the ancient dragon clan would never be at peace. Of course, her reminder was unnecessary. Given Xiao Yan's character, he would naturally not allow a threat to escape. Hence, the fire wings on his back were flapped as soon as the Northern Dragon King moved. He immediately began to chase down the Northern Dragon King with lightning-like speed. You wish to kill this king? In your dreams. The eyes of the Northern Dragon King turned cold after Xiao Yan closed in from behind. He waved his hand, and 10 figures flew from the Northern Dragon Island, after which they thrown toward Xiao Yan like cannonballs. Xiao Yan frowned when he noticed that this Dragon King was attempting to use flesh bombs. The speed he was progressing at slowed. He was preparing to rescue those human figures when 10 7-colored lights suddenly shot from behind him. They whistled and wrapped around the 10 figures before moving them out of the blood formation. Quickly capture that fellow. Kai Lin's voice echoed beside Xiao Yan's ear as she resolved the problem, refarding those flesh bombs. Aye. Xiao Yan sighed in relief once these obstructions were eliminated. He did not have time to say anything more as the fire wings on his back were flapped. His speed suddenly soared. Within a couple of flashes, he had appeared above the Northern Dragon King's head. A cold laugh appeared as his crystal hand reached for the Northern Dragon King's head at a lightning-like speed in front of the Northern Dragon King's panicked eyes. This king will fight it out with all of you. A ruthlessness filled the Northern Dragon King's heart, along with a panic when Xiao Yan was hot on his heels. A seal was formed with both hands before his body began to rapidly. From the looks of it, he was actually planning on self-destructing. Mao. It was naturally impossible for Xiao Yan to allow the fight to end by receiving a serious injury at this moment. So an enormous spiritual illusory figure quickly appeared on the surface of his body. The yellow spring divine anger ruthlessly smashed into the Northern Dragon King's body. The powerful spiritual attack caused the Northern Dragon King's soul to feel an intense pain as his swelling body also shrank. The Northern Dragon King's head felt a chill after he forcefully suppressed the intense pain emitted from his soul. Xiao Yan's hand had gently landed on the top of his head. Don't kill me. You win. You win. I will not bother about the matters of the 3 Great Dragon Island. In the future, I will no longer be the Northern Dragon King. The body of the Northern Dragon King stiffened when Xiao Yan's hand landed on his head. A hurried cry was emitted from his mouth. Haha. You really change your stance too quickly. Xiao Yan smiled and spoke as he scanned the Northern Dragon King in front of him. Let me go. I will never appear in front of any of you in the future. The Northern Dragon King raised his hands. His scarlet eyes were flickering. Not a bad idea. However, killing you will be easier. Xiao Yan grinned. The next instant, his smile was withdrawn before it turned into a chill that shook one's heart. A hot, hidden force swiftly invaded the Northern Dragon King's head, turning the interior into a complete mess. even though the Northern Dragon King's soul was swiftly vaporized into nothing by the terrifyingly high temperature of the purifying demonic lotus flame. Xiaoyan withdrew his hand while he stood in the emptiness. The body of the Northern Dragon King in front of him slowly collapsed like a pile of mud. Xiaoyan's tightly clenched fist was slowly relaxed, revealing two beads containing a bloody stench. They were both filled with a violent energy. The surroundings were completely quiet. Many pairs of eyes stared at the Northern Dragon King, whose eyes were still wide open and filled with a ruthlessness. All of them sighed. This Northern Dragon King might have been extremely ruthless, but he was still a dignified expert. However, this dignified expert would not be left with a good reputation within the ancestral books of the ancient dragon tribe. Xiaoyan's crystal-clear body gradually paled. He returned to his original form. An ashen expression appeared on his face. After which, he glanced at the Northern Dragon King's body in his hand and lifted his brows with a great interest. This body was not a bad treasure. Ziyan hurried over in a flash while Xiaoyan was holding the corpse of the Northern Dragon King. Her eyes were complicated as she glanced at the Northern Dragon King, whose face still contained a dark, ruthless, and ferocious appearance. She softly sighed. The ancient void dragon had been battered after so many years of internal strife. The disappearance of the Dragon Emperor back then had left the tribe in turmoil. A harrowing problem. 50 to 60% of those from the Northern Dragon Island have already been killed by the Northern Dragon King. This adds to the serious damage our ancient dragon tribe has already suffered. Fortunately, the Western and Southern Islands have not suffered as many losses. This time around, the three great Dragon Kings have all been killed. No one will be able to stop the tribe from being united. Ziyan glanced at the Dragon Island below, which was still covered in a bloody aura. As she softly analyzed the situation, Xiaoyan slowly nodded. Although the Eastern Dragon Island had been victorious, the price of this victory cost Ziyan far too much. As the Dragon Emperor, she put the needs of the tribe first. Regardless of whether it was the Eastern Dragon Island or the other three Dragon Islands, every person belonged to the ancient Void Dragon tribe. It is ultimately a good beginning. With you, a Dragon Emperor, uniting the ancient Dragon clan, it is not impossible for the tribe to regain its glory. Xiaoyan was quiet for a moment. All he could do was attempt to comfort her. He knew that the strength of the ancient Void Dragon tribe was no longer what it had been in the past after experiencing the chaos from the three great Dragon Kings. But he could not damage Ziyan's confidence at this moment. Ziyan softly sighed. She was aware of the differences between the current ancient Void Dragon tribe and the one in the past. It should be known that the ancient Dragon tribe at its peak was comparable to a super faction like the Gu clan, but the experts of her tribe had either died or had scattered. It would be difficult for her to hold it together alone. There was just no telling how long it would take to recover to its peak. Haha. You should not remain depressed. You possess the legendary Dragon Phoenix constitution. As long as you are given sufficient time, you will be able to surpass the previous Dragon Emperors. At that time, recovering the ancient Dragon tribe to its peak will no longer be empty words. Xiaoyan patted Ziyan's head and laughed. Ziyan smiled upon hearing these words. She braced her attention since Xiaoyan was right. Although the present situation of the ancient Dragon tribe was not very good, she still possessed the legendary Dragon Phoenix bloodline. If she unleashed this bloodline to its limit, she would not be inferior to any Dragon Emperors. This included her missing father, whom she had never met. The previous Dragon Emperor, thank you very much. If the both of you had not hurried over, a smile rose onto Ziyan's face as she replied with words of thanks. There is no need to say such courteous words to me. Xiaoyan shook his head. Suddenly, he waved the Northern Dragon King's corpse in his hand at Ziyan and asked, "Can you give this to me?" Huh? Ziyan was startled upon hearing this question. She was confused and asked, "What do you need his corpse for?" This fellow has an unbelievable constitution. He has even been tempered by the transforming dragon demon formation and is now frighteningly strong. If he can be refined into a puppet, it would be an extremely strong one. Xiaoyan hesitated and explained. The sky demon puppets he owned had been left in the star realm as guards. The ingredients that were used to refine them limited the growth of the sky demon puppet to the Daozun class. It was impossible for them to advance any further. A helper of that strength was completely useless to the current Xiaoyan. Hence, he had come up with the idea of refining the Northern Dragon King's corpse into a puppet. After all, the Northern Dragon King had already died and could only be used as trash. According to the rules, strong ancient dragons are normally buried within the dragon tomb. Ziyan knit her brows and glanced at Xiaoyan's helpless face. However, you have lent a hand to our tribe this time around, and it is only right for you to ask for a reward. Currently, those from the tribe hate this person. If I were to really bring him back, I don't think he would be allowed to be buried in the dragon tomb. You can take his body if you have a need for it. Haha. In that case, I will thank your majesty, the Dragon Emperor. Xiaoyan smiled and replied after listening to this girl's official response. Ziyan laughed in a delicate voice. The both of you should rest on the Eastern Dragon Island for now. The 3 great dragon kings have already been killed. I will need to start the preparations for reorganizing the 4 great dragon islands. Xiaoyan smiled and nodded. There was still something he needed to do within this empty realm. In any case, he had no pressing matters at this moment. He would refine this puppet before leaving. In the future, the puppet would be a good helper when he fought against others. Ziyan chatted with Xiaoyan for a moment after he nodded, after which she organized the experts within the tribe and then entered the Northern Dragon Island after the bloody Doqi scattered. They were going to find the tribe members who had luckily survived after the 3 great dragon kings were killed. The ancient Void Dragon tribe, which had been dealing with serious internal strife, finally cleared all obstacles. The 4 great dragon islands ceased voicing any objections because of Ziyan's title as the Dragon Emperor. The Northern Dragon King had slaughtered the members of the tribe and had chilled the hearts of all the ancient void dragons. Naturally, no one was furious over his death. The Western and Southern Dragon Kings had both perished to the hands of the Northern Dragon King. This news would undoubtedly make the Northern Dragon King more hated, with the urging from so many factors. The unification of the 4 great dragon islands was unexpectedly smooth. The 4 great dragon islands that floated in the empty realm were merged together with the help of the combined might of many of the tribe experts. From this moment on, the ancient Void Dragon tribe could finally be considered reunified. In the future, there would no longer be 4 great dragon islands. There would only be 1 ancient dragon island. While the ancient Void Dragon tribe was extremely busy with the unification process, Xiaoyan and Kai Lin chose to remain on the Dragon Island. Xiaoyan rested for a couple of days and returned to his peak condition. This time around, the aim of his retreat was to refine a puppet using the body of the Northern Dragon King. The strength of the Northern Dragon King when he was alive had almost reached the 6th star of the Dao Sheng class. Xiaoyan had become excited because the physical body of this king was many times stronger than an ordinary 6-star Dao Sheng. This body was the best material to refine a puppet with. If it could be successfully refined, it would undoubtedly be a great help to Xiaoyan. This puppet would be extremely important to both him and the Sky Mansion Alliance. Xiaoyan's expression was solemn as he stood in a chamber. The air in front of him contained hundreds of objects that were flickering with mysterious glows. These glowing objects were the ingredients needed to refine a puppet. A top-quality body like the Northern Dragon King was extremely rare, so Xiaoyan naturally needed to use the best ingredients in order to refine this body. Xiaoyan's eyes carefully swept over those ingredients in front of him. He verified that everything was present before nodding with satisfaction. He had rummaged through the stores of the Dragon Island in order to collect these ingredients. Just thinking of the pained eyes of the warehouse guarding Elder caused Xiaoyan to involuntarily laugh out loud. Xiaoyan only waved his hand after completing his check. A figure, which was many times stronger than an ordinary person, floated in front of him. This was the main ingredient required to refine the puppet, the body of the Northern Dragon King. The current Northern Dragon King's eyes were both tightly shut. His expression was pale and void of life. However, his body was still tense. It was impossible to leave behind a scar even if one hacked at it with a knife. The physical body of this Dragon King had already been strengthened to a frightening level. At the very least, Xiaoyan admitted he was no match for it. The ancient Void Dragon tribe was indeed blessed by a strong physical body. Xiaoyan swept his eyes over the Northern Dragon King's head. Those 3 faces still appeared a little ferocious at this moment. He involuntarily shook his head. The reason this person's physical body was so strong was because he had devoured the Western and Southern Dragon King's blood and flesh. Puff. Xiaoyan widened his mouth after withdrawing his gaze. A cluster of pink flames was spat out of his mouth, after which they swelled with the wind and turned into a huge furnace in the air. Subsequently, he waved his hand and threw the body of the Northern Dragon King into the furnace. Sizzle, sizzle. The skin of the Northern Dragon King erupted with a sizzling sound the moment the Northern Dragon King's body entered the fire cauldron. Strands of blood continued to flow out before vanishing into nothing because of the high temperature. Xiao Yan was expressionless as this blood disappeared. He had refined a puppet in the past and naturally understood that this was a tempering process. After being refined by his heavenly flame, the body of the Northern Dragon King would become even more terrifying. This tempering process might appear simple, but it lasted for a total of 10 days. Xiao Yan did not rest during this period as he continued to use the purifying demonic lotus flame to grill the Northern Dragon King's body. After 10 days of grilling, the originally strong body of the Northern Dragon King seemed to have shrunk by 3 layers, even though his body had shrank. It still appeared a little stronger than an ordinary person. Xiao Yan calmly studied the Northern Dragon King's body, which seemed like black metal. From outside of the cauldron, even though no doqi surrounded it, the body's glaring appearance was still incomparable. The blood within the body had been grilled until it has entered all the muscles and bones. This body will really be a perfect killing machine. Xiao Yan smiled as he examined the black body, which radiated a pressure. He smiled, and even his black eyes contained a strange smile. He immediately waved his hand, and the purifying demonic lotus flame that had been wrapped around the body slowly paled. Bang! The moment that the purifying demonic lotus flame completely vanished, the Northern Dragon King suddenly opened his tightly shut eyes within the fire cauldron. A familiar pair of scarlet eyes belonging to the Northern Dragon King appeared, and a strange, sinister laugh followed. Xiao Yan, thank you for helping this king complete this temperament. In order to thank you, I shall show you just how frightening this body is. Tsk-tusk, if you need someone to blame, blame it on your arrogance in merely scattering this king's soul. Our ancient void dragon's body is our soul, and our soul is our body. The strong body that was covered in a black metal, like luster within the fire cauldron, wildly laughed at the sky. A punch was thrown forward and caused the fire cauldron to collapse. His large hand reached for Xiao Yan. The dead Northern Dragon King was revived.